Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the June Keys Penguin Habitat. My name is Michelle. I'm one of the trainers here, and it's my lucky job to be able to work with our penguins as well as our seals and sea lions and pretty much our otters and anything that does not have gills. Now, a popular question that's often asked is, why do we have penguins here and where's all the ice? Well, these are temperate penguins, which means that they normally live in this type of environment. They like the warm. They're found in South America, all over the peninsula, and they actually thrive in this type of temperature. One thing that's different is that the fact that the water temperature that is down there, they have a cold jet stream, and so we keep the water here around 55 degrees as well. So if they ever get too warm, they can just go and pop into the water and get cool and then come back up on deck and see me. Now this is their feeding time. This is a stare, and a stare is one of our younger animals. He's only about 2 years old. This is his brother, Fisher, coming up. And pretty much feeding penguins is like feeding your 3-year-old. Sometimes they want it, sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's the wrong fish. How about that one? Good boy. Now, everything we do is we keep track of all the food that we feed them. And so, mark down when they eat. And that way we can tell if all of a sudden they're not eating as well, if they're feeling a little bit off, we can go ahead and call our veterinarian to take a look at our animals. Now, if you were here a little bit earlier, you noticed that I was removing some stanchions that were blocking the nest boxes. Now, we do that for one big reason. We have animals that are on certain medications, and we have penguins that are sitting on chicks right now. And the big thing is we don't want that medication to get to the chicks. And so what we do is we block it off for about 6 hours, and in that time the animal has been able to digest that fish with the meds in it, and it allows us to make sure that when they go back into their nest box, they will not give any of that to their offspring. There we go. We're cautiously optimistic on our chicks right now. We actually have pulled 2 from the area and put them into the back because they start to get a little curious when they hit around age 20. And once they hit that age range, they start going through these little tubes. And unfortunately, if they were to come out on this exhibit, number one, we have other penguins here that can be a little naughty at times, but we can also have them roll into the exhibit. And that's problematic because their feathers are not made to withstand water. They're not completely waterproof yet, so they can actually do quite a lot of harm to themselves. So what we do is we pull them. Sorry, I had to mark that last fish. We pull them and we put them into our back area. And this is where we start developing our bond with them, just like I have with Gats here. When he was around 20 days old, we pulled, it's just paddles. She's not going to take it from you, or I'm going to feed it to her. Are you going to take it? Good girl, Paddles. Pardon me while I feed a couple of penguins. Like I said, it's like feeding your 3-year-old. Sometimes they like it, sometimes they don't. But what I was saying is that we actually pull the chicks so that we can start developing our bond with them. And that allows us to be able to go through, and because Gats was brought up by us, I can take a look at him. I can check his bill. I can look at his eyes. I can look at his flipper. And what he's doing now is just kind of allopreening. It's not hurting. He's just kind of like going through the motions, just like he would with another penguin. And so it allows us to take better care of our animals. Now, one thing that we do when we have them out is we make sure that they start getting their new vitamins. It's a long process. when we go through this, and we want to make sure to do it nice and slow. So we let the parents raise the chicks as long as possible, but once we start seeing those chicks start to go through those tubes, like I said, we need to pull them for their safety. Now, people often wonder, what do we feed our animals? They get a mixture of herring and capelin. Depending on the time of year is what the animals like to eat. We have some that switch back and forth, but when they're in breeding mode or when they're looking after chicks, they will only eat a certain type of food. And then when the chicks are pulled, they'll go back to eating a different type. So it's all dependent on the bird, the time of year, as well as the quality. If a fish is bent, they will not eat it. If a fish doesn't look the way they want it to look, they will not eat it. So it's pretty funny when you go. I've worked with a lot of different marine mammals, and penguins are by far the pickiest eaters I've ever encountered. Now, we do track all the food that we give our animals. Like I said, it's a great way for us to make sure that everybody's eating. They do get vitamins every morning. So those vitamins are just because when we freeze food, when it comes to us, it's in frozen blocks. And what that allows is that there's no type of chance that there's any type of bacteria in it. And so what we do is when we thaw it, it does lose some of the nutrients. So what we do is we augment that with new vitamins, and it's vitamins specifically made for penguins, and it's a really great way to make sure that they stay nice and healthy. Now you'll notice that in our exhibit, we also have some mister systems. When it gets really, really warm, we'll put that on. We're getting done with breeding season, and pretty soon we're going to be going into our molt season. And that's when the penguins don't go into the water, but it can get quite warm. And so we actually have mister systems set up. Penguins in the wild don't have that, but we have really spoiled penguins. And we have mister systems set up to keep it a little bit cooler, as well as a beautiful shade structure. Now we have the changing of the guard. You'll notice that when I pulled out the stanchions that were blocking the penguins out or in, whatever way you want to look at it, there'll be a changing of the guard. Roxy was sitting on the chick all morning, and so Floyd just went in there, relieved her, and now she is coming out to have her time in the sun and swim and clean and do all that nice stuff. Well, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and sign off, finish up my work here. I do like to say thank you all for coming to the aquarium, because your admission does help us take care of all of our animals. So for myself and all the penguins, we hope you enjoy your day here at the Aquarium of the Pacific, and we hope to see you again real soon.